Why, hello and welcome to the first tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how we tie our prawn spinners for spring salmon and chinook fishing. I've even used them for large trout in the lake. If you use the smaller willow blades from Short Bus, they actually do work pretty good for trout. So first off, I'm smoking a Palina Connecticut this morning. It's a very mild, mellow stick. I'm quite happy with those. First thing in the morning, you can't really beat that. It goes great with some coffee. You get some cedar notes, coffee notes. But overall, it's not an overbearing first cigar of the day. So stay tuned. I'll be right back, and we'll get set up here and tie some prawn spinners. All right, let's get tying here. So I am a huge fan of the Gamakatsu 5/0 for Chinook. You can go smaller for some, smaller fish. If you want to go bigger, you can. But for me, for Chinook springers, spring Chinook or fall Chinook, the 5/0 is the perfect medium, especially when hooking up a prawn and tying an egg loop. So the first thing that I start with is the hooks, which are the Gamakatsu Octopus 5/0. And then I am a huge fan of Andy fishing line. I love their monofilament. It's tough, it's abrasion resistant, and it can take a beating. So the first thing I do is I will tie and hook right at the end of the line. I'll tie an egg loop here. I'm trying to make sure you guys can see this here. If you don't know how to tie an egg loop, there's tons of tutorials on YouTube. I'll try and find a link and put it in the description below if I can. But while I tie this egg loop, I will just tell you a little bit more about the La Palina cigar. It's supposedly just an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, and that's what La Palina says. I have never been a huge fan of La Palina, but as of late, this Connecticut has been growing on me, and also the Maduro, for some reason, has really taken off on my palate lately. First thing in the morning, this last week when we were out fishing, I smoked one, probably about 4:30 in the morning while getting the boat ready, and the Connecticut really is a great first thing in the morning cigar. So there's our first egg loop. Just trim off the tag. So, and this next step is completely your decision on how you do it. A lot of people will tie a sliding egg loop above the prop for the next hook, because you're going to have two hooks here. But I prefer, for my prawn spinners, I prefer a fixed hook above the prawn. Depending on the blade size, I will make it a little difference. I always go about 2 fingers, if you can see that, little 2 fingers right there, and then I'll tie another egg loop. The reason I do a fixed one, I feel that if you get a bite on that top hook and it slides on the line, it's not going to get a good solid take, because you want that fish to turn on it and you want that hook to bury itself, because of course when springer fishing, you're never going to set that hook. You're going to let that fish hook itself. So I feel the fixed hook on the top, if that fish grabs that, no matter where he grabs it, that hook is set. You'll notice the hooks are kind of offset a little bit. I will adjust it a little bit more. I want the hooks kind of pointing the opposite direction. Or close to it, because you end up with almost like almost a 2-point treble hook at this point. So the next step is beads. Colors, some people swear by green, some others by pink. I use both. I do have an affinity for chartreuse for spring chinook, chartreuse and blues. Fall chinook, I'll definitely run blues and silvers. Coho salmon, I definitely like the pinks and reds. They seem to be keying in on that. So we'll just put 4 hooks since this is the smaller blade. Now, if you're going to use one of the larger willow blades, like this one right here, you're definitely going to need a little bit more beads. You want to be able to separate that hook or the blade from your hooks. So we got 4 beads there. You can see, nice, simple. I believe these are 10 millimeter. I'm not too sure. Next up, the blade. Now this is where I am a diehard fan of Short Bus flashers. He makes spinner blades. He also makes all kinds of 360 dodgers. But the quality of builds, JT just does an amazing stuff with his blades. And then we have a small plastic clevis. Some guys swear by the changeable clevises, but I have a tendency to feel I will lose the spinner blades, which I have a couple of times. I've reeled up, especially fishing heavy current, and the blade is gone. So I like the solid clevises. The reason I go plastic is it doesn't wear out or shred the line, because the metal ones, no matter how smooth they seem, where that blade or that clevis is bent over on itself, you're going to get wear and tear on your line, because you got to remember that's going to be sitting down in that current, just going to town, spinning. That's going to wear out your line. That's where these plastic clevises come in handy. So there you have it. Leader length, it's completely your decision. I go about 3 feet and rig it up. Some guys do longer. I always tie my leaders extra long, so that way when I'm out in the boat, if the water's really clear, I will back it away from my setup a little bit more. If the water's not very clear, then I don't have to worry about that fish too much. Let's face it, Chinook are not leader shy, and they're not going to be, having an issue with seeing the slip slider or the slider or anything like that. So thanks for watching, and we will see you in a bit. There you have it. That's how I tie up my prawn spinners. Nothing fancy. I never claimed to be fancy, but they do work. I'm going to be going out Monday with Dino. You guys will get to know him soon. So stay tuned. I'll have a video on how I hook the prawns up and rig the prawns to the spinner, and how we fish them. So stay tuned for more floating and smoking. And have a great day and good fishing, guys.